There was a woman named Margaret. She was 58 years old and had just retired after working 35 years as a school teacher. She thought retirement would be peaceful, a time to relax and enjoy life, but instead, she felt lost. Every morning, Margaret woke up with nothing to do. Her children had grown up and moved to different states. Her husband, Tom, had passed away 3 years ago. The house felt too quiet, too empty. She would sit by the window, watching the neighbors, feeling lonely and forgotten. What's the point? She thought. My best days are behind me. I'm just getting old now. These thoughts made her sad. She stopped calling her friends. She stopped going to church. She just stayed home, day after day, feeling more and more unhappy. One afternoon, there was a knock on her door. It was her neighbor, an elderly gentleman named Frank. Frank was 72, but you wouldn't know it. He was always busy, always smiling, always full of energy. Margaret, Frank said, I haven't seen you at the community center in weeks. Is everything okay? Margaret sighed and invited him in. She told him how she felt toothless, alone, like her life was over. Frank listened quietly. Then he smiled and said, Margaret, can I tell you something? I felt exactly the same way when I retired 10 years ago. Margaret looked surprised. You did? She asked. Oh yes, Frank said. When I stopped working, I thought I was done. I sat in my recliner, watched TV all day, and felt sorry for myself. I gained weight. My back hurt. I was depressed. My daughter even suggested I see a doctor because I had become so negative. Then one day, something changed. I was watching the news, and it was all bad wars, crime, disasters. I realized I had been filling my mind with negativity for months. Negative news, negative thoughts, negative feelings. No wonder I was miserable. So I made a decision. I would change what I think about. Every morning, instead of thinking, another boring day, I started saying, what good thing can I do today? It sounds simple, but it changed everything. Margaret leaned forward. What happened then? She asked. Frank smiled. I started volunteering at the library, reading to children. I joined a walking group at the park. I learned to paint something I always wanted to do, but never had time for. At first, I wasn't good at any of it. But I kept going. I kept thinking positive. I told myself, you're not too old. You still have so much to give. And you know what? I started feeling alive again. I made new friends. I found purpose. My health got better. Frank looked at Margaret with kind eyes. Your life isn't over, Margaret. This is just a new chapter. But you have to stop thinking it's the end. Start thinking about what you can still do, who you can still help, what you can still enjoy." Those words touched Margaret's heart. That night, she couldn't sleep, but in a good way. She started thinking about things she always wanted to do. She loved gardening. She loved baking. She used to write poetry when she was young. The next morning, Margaret woke up and said out loud, "Today is a gift. I'm going to make it count." She called her old friend Susan. She signed up for a gardening club. She even started writing again, just a few lines each day. Weeks passed. Margaret felt different, lighter, happier. She wasn't just sitting at home anymore. She was living. She baked cookies for the new neighbors. She planted flowers in her front yard. She started a small journal, writing down one good thing each day. One Sunday, she saw Frank at church. She walked up to him with tears in her eyes and said, "Thank you. You saved my life." Frank shook his head gently. "No, Margaret. You saved your own life. You just needed to remember it. Never too late to start thinking positive." Margaret learned something powerful that day. Our thoughts shape our reality. If we think our best days are behind us, we stop living. But if we think there's still good ahead, we keep going. We find joy. We find purpose. So if you're watching this and you feel like life has passed you by, remember Margaret's story. Remember Frank's words. You're not too old. You're not forgotten. Your life still has meaning. But it starts with one simple choice: to think positive, to believe in yourself, to say, "Today is a new beginning." The power of positive thinking isn't magic. It's a choice. And that choice can change everything.